Hello to our young people, and I hope you're all doing well. I hope that things are going well at home, and now that we're isolating, and that I know some of you are doing school through the internet right now, and I hope that that's going okay, and that you're being good to your parents. Hope you're remembering to wash your hands. That's really important, and to use soap. My mom always used to ask me after I washed my hands when I was a kid if I used some soap. Yeah, I hope just that you're doing well in spite of everything that's going on. We've got some nice weather, although it looks like we're going to get some spring rain. And today I just want to spend a little time with you to talk about a fellow named Jacob. You might know somebody named Jacob, but this Jacob lived a long time ago. And the story of Jacob is one of the early stories that we have in the Bible. And Jacob was a guy who things started out pretty rough for him. Um, he was in such a difficult place in life that he actually had to sleep on the ground, and he had a stone for a pillow. I don't know how comfortable that would be. I mean, I'm so happy that I have a nice warm bed to sleep in and a soft pillow. Makes a big difference. But Jacob was at a place where things weren't good, and he found himself feeling pretty low, let's say. But then something happened. Jacob had a dream. And he had a dream about a ladder, and it was a ladder that stretched up to heaven, stretched to God's presence. And there were angels going up and going down on the ladder. And you see, for Jacob, that dream was really important because it reminded him that even though things were difficult for him in that time, he was in a place maybe he didn't, or he certainly didn't want to be in, that God was there promising something more for him, promising a future, wanting him to grow in his spirit, right? To grow closer to God, and that would help him, help Jacob to grow in other ways. Well, I think about Jacob's story and that thought about, like that rising up. It's part of the Easter story we celebrate. And in springtime, we see that rising up. And I've got some seedlings here that I've planted. I think they're going to be cucumbers eventually. But I just want you to have a look, and you'll notice how they rise up, they come out of the ground, and they're actually drawn towards the light and towards the sun and towards the heat. And to me, that's a lot like what God wants us to do, wants us to rise up and to elevate ourselves, that we might feel God, the warmth of God's love and of God's light, because this will help us to grow in other ways. So there's many ways, we can look around at springtime and know of God's presence. And I hope that as we see those plants rising up, that we feel in our lives an opportunity to do the same, to feel God's warmth rising within us and helping us to grow and to grow close to each other. I know that Chelsea's got a little more she's going to share with you about the story of Jacob. And so I'll pass it on to her. And in the meantime, I hope that you're staying safe and that you're staying well. And may God bless you and your families. Bye bye.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I know that it's been quite a while that we've been doing this whole quarantine thing. So I hope that you guys are still playing games and doing baking and doing well with school. So I just want to talk to you a little bit about what we were talking about last week and what we've been speaking about. So for a long time now, we've been speaking about the story of Jesus, and his life, his death, his resurrection, and the work that comes after. But this week I'm actually going to be tying into Pastor Dale's sermon, which is going to take us all the way back to Genesis. So we were in the New Testament, which is all the way over here. But now we're going to go back to the very, very beginning of the Bible and the first book. So Genesis is where everything began. And we have a story of a man called Jacob. And so there is a bit of a story behind Jacob, but we will get into this deeper when we continue with the Old Testament. But for now, I'm just going to tell you I'm going to read from Genesis 28, verse 10. And the backstory of this is that Jacob was in a bit of a rough spot. He was upset, and he left his family due to a lot of stuff that went on there. But mostly he was blessed by his father. His father sent him away. His brother was angry that his dad did this for him. So he's leaving now. And so from Genesis 28, verse 10, it says, Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, which its with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There above it stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you and your offsprings. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I promised you. So what's really important about this is a bit of a short message today, is that when Jacob was in the lowliest spot and he's by himself and he's sleeping on a rock, God comes to him in this dream and basically shows Jacob this ladder all the way to heaven, which angels are coming up and down. And Jacob is from the line of Abraham, which means that through his family, there was a man named Abraham a long time ago. And God blessed Abraham and said, I will give you this nation. And so this is where God is coming back to that promise. And I'm just going to repeat Genesis 28, verse 15, where it says, I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you, which is, he's referring again to the promise that he gave to Abraham and Abraham's line, which is Jacob. And he's saying that I will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I won't leave you until I've done what I have promised you, which is very important, because in this time of Jacob's probably a little bit nervous. He's probably a little bit unsure of what's going on, which I'm sure that all of us are feeling the same way right now, as we don't know what's going to happen. So in that way, God came in, he just said, listen, I'm here, I'll be with you, and I will stay with you. So God was giving him hope where he didn't previously have any hope, right? And so I think that there's many different times in the Bible where God does
Yes,